The insider-in-chief is back. At a Texas rally last night, former President Donald Trump did more than just tease a 2024 presidential run. He sounded like he is assembling his mob, urging his supporters to hold protest if he's held accountable and thrown in the slammer for trying to pull off a coup to stay in power. You don't have to read between the lines. Just look at how he was reading the lines. This was not his ordinary, incoherent buffet of word salad nonsense. He appeared to be reading from a teleprompter. The madness and the threats appear to be premeditated.
If these radical, vicious, racist prosecutors do anything wrong or illegal, I hope we are going to have in this country the biggest protest we have ever had in Washington, D.C., in New York, in Atlanta, and elsewhere, because our country and our elections are corrupt. They're corrupt.
Yes, he is saying the riot part out loud again. Sounds like much of what he was up to on January 6th as he instigated a violent insurrection.
We fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. We're going to the Capitol, so let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue.
But wait, there is more. Last night, Trump made it clear that people who heeded his messed up call to action on January 6th might actually get away with it.
If I run and if I win, we will treat those people from January 6th fairly. We will treat them fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons because they are being treated so unfairly.
Yes, he is ready to abuse presidential pardon powers once again, this time to let his supporters know they'll receive a get-out-of-jail-free card for January 6th and perhaps for whatever may come next. That's not a campaign promise, though. That's more like a dictator's decree. Yes, America, the coup is still happening. And joining me now is President Pro Tem of the United States Senate and member of the Judiciary Committee, Democrat Patrick Leahy of Vermont. Senator Leahy, does this sound like a threat to you coming from the former president?
It sounds definitely like a threat. I cannot believe I would ever hear this from somebody running for office or in office. I was a prosecutor for 8 years. To think that somebody would run for a high office and say, you can conduct any kind of criminal conduct you want, don't worry. If you're doing it to support me, I'll give you a pardon when I get there. As a prosecutor, I'd say, this has to be, somebody's making this up. It couldn't be real. And yet, when you were there on January 6th, as I was, I look out and I see them putting a noose up to hang the vice president if he didn't throw the election out. I see people storming through. I could smell the tear gas. I could see the damaged windows. Beautiful parts of the Capitol have been damaged. And in seeing people say, we're doing this because Donald Trump told us to. This is not a democracy. This is something that you'd see in a third world nation with a two-bit dictator.
Yeah, but a two-bit dictator who is trying to make a comeback, it sounds like. And we did hear from a couple of Republican senators today reacting to Trump's remarks last night. It was not exactly full-throated condemnation. Let's watch.
I think it's inappropriate. I don't want to reinforce that defiling the Capitol was okay. I don't want to do anything that would make this more likely in the future. I want to deter people who did on January the 6th, and those who did it, I hope they go to jail and get the book thrown at them because they deserve it.
I do not think President Trump should have made that pledge to do pardons. We should let the judicial process proceed.
Now, I know you don't want to necessarily criticize your Republican colleagues there in the Senate, but that was not exactly a profile encouraged moment. Senator, do you think that you're going to see anything more from your Republican colleagues when it comes to defending our democracy and condemning this thuggish, dictator-like behavior that we're seeing from Trump at these rallies?
I think that you have to have people stand up in both parties. We saw that after Watergate with Richard Nixon, when you'd have people ranging from Barry Goldwater to Mike Mansfield, right to the left, saying, this is wrong. I mean, as I said, I was a prosecutor for 8 years. When somebody commits a crime or incites crime, that's wrong. I don't care if they're Republicans or Democrats. It is wrong. And what the president, former president, has done, there is no question he incited a riot in last year, and there's no question they want to keep on encouraging it. Can you imagine he's saying, look, don't worry, you go out and commit whatever crimes you want. If it's helping me get elected, if I get elected, I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. I'll give you a pardon. Now, that's something nobody, Republican or Democrat, should accept. I mean, that is third world baloney.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about President Biden's looming Supreme Court pick. I think a lot of our viewers and a lot of Americans are bracing for Mitch McConnell to try to figure out a way to block another Democratic president's nominee. What assurances can you give that that won't happen this time? Do you think that we won't see that happen this time? Do you think McConnell, knows that the jig is up and folks are sort of onto what he's been up to over these last several years with Supreme Court picks?
Well, of course, everybody saw the outrageous blocking of the constitutional process in blocking Merrick Garland. And unfortunately, Mitch McConnell was able to do it because he had a number of Republicans who had stated earlier that, oh yeah, Merrick Garland would be a good person. I could easily vote for him. And then they got lockstep in blocking even having a vote. If you don't like somebody, well, then vote them up or vote them down. But what we saw there diminished the Supreme Court, certainly damaged the U.S. Senate, and you could see the complete hypocrisy of it when he ran through a Supreme Court nominee within days of the next election, which President Biden won. So no, I think it'd be very hard for him to block this. I think that the American public would say, you can't do this. And I would hope that the Supreme Court and those on it would not be in favor of something like this, because it is diminishing the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is losing its credibility. It's down the polls now in a way I never thought I'd see, because they see it as being political, not nonpartisan. And I think any leader of any party, Republican or Democratic, to try to politicize the Supreme Court is wrong. I know some of the names that President Biden is looking at. They are all superb nominees. They are people that in normal time would go through very, very easily. Let's bring the nominee up. Let's have a hearing. Justice Breyer gave us all plenty of advance notice.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you about that because we're hearing Republicans go on the attack over President Biden's announcement that he would name an African-American woman to the Supreme Court. Let's take a listen to what Republican Senator Roger Wicker said.
The irony is that the Supreme Court is at the very same time hearing cases about this sort of affirmative racial discrimination.
Yes.
And while adding someone who is the beneficiary of this sort of quote.
What's your sense of how the president has handled this?
I think he's handled it very, very correctly. And I can tell you, I look at one of my granddaughters who's African American, straight A's in school and everything else, to have this baloney. And Roger Wicker's a friend of mine, but basically he's saying, well, if you're a woman, and if you're a woman of color, you can only be qualified if you have some affirmative action. Every single woman, white or black, in this country should reject such a foolish and racist statement. You pick the best person possible. I didn't remember any Republican coming up when Ronald Reagan said, I'm going to place the first woman on the Supreme Court, Sandra Day O'Connor, backed by Barry Goldwater and backed by me. And I voted for her because I felt she was the most qualified name that came up. Nobody thought this was some kind of a special thing because you're a woman or you're a woman of color. Comments like that make us look to the rest of the world as though we're a subpar country.
All right, Senator Patrick Leahy, you've given us a lot to think about. Really appreciate your time this evening. Thanks so much, and we'll get back to you soon. Thanks for your time.
Well, I'm looking forward to the hearings. I'll be there. Take care.
They'll be fascinating. Absolutely. Thanks so much, sir. Appreciate it.